We are 14 weeks into the year for all but two teams, and what a week it was. The Rams made a statement win Thursday as they killed the Patriots 24-3, the Bears beat the Texans by 29 points to snap their 6-game losing streak, and the Broncos beat the Panthers in a rematch of Super Bowl 50. There were a lot of things that took place this week, and some pretty big takeaways too. We're going to cover all of them in today's video, including the Chiefs beating the Dolphins, which was followed by a Patrick Mahomes tweet that said he has a love-hate relationship with Hard Rock Stadium. Now, before we get started, I want to say if you want to hear a Vikings fan rant about the game Sunday, it will be in the last few minutes of the video, because that game was absolutely awful. I'm not going to start the video with that, but trust me, there will be a segment on it at the end. But while you're here, please subscribe to the channel as we are closing in on the 15,000 subscriber milestone, and I want to let you guys know how much I appreciate the support and how much it would mean if you go ahead, hit that button, and like the videos. All support is very much appreciated. Now let's begin. And we're going to start today's video with the Titans and running back Derrick Henry. So first things first, congratulations to him on passing LT, Jim Brown, and Barry Sanders for the most 200 rushing yard, 2-touchdown games in NFL history. He is a great player and great for him, and if you played against him in fantasy, then chances are you didn't advance in the playoffs. But if you did play against him and still won, then congratulations, because he was a tough player to go against this week to say the least. Now for the team itself, they beat a 1-11 Jaguars team that eventually benched Mike Glennon for the mustache, that of course being Gardner Minshew. Tennessee is 9-4 on the year, but are 5-4 in their last 9. They lost to the Browns last week, which is a little concerning, but credit to them because I don't want this to just be slander, so credit to them for beating the Colts and Ravens on the road a few weeks ago. The takeaway and the reason why they're here is to pretty much say don't overreact to this, and that they're not all of a sudden favorites to win the AFC because the Chiefs, well, they didn't play great on Sunday. I've said it all year and I'll say it again, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs, but I don't think they'll be a great regular season team maybe ever. I don't expect the Titans to go in the next 3 to 4 years to have a 14 or 15 win year and be the number 1 seed and run through the playoffs. I've said all year they're going to be a tough out due to Derrick Henry in the run game because nobody wants to tackle him to begin with, let alone in January when it's -3 out or whatever low degree temperature it is. Tennessee may not have the success they had last season in terms of playoff wins, but due to Derrick Henry alone, they will always be a tough out. What will cause them problems is their defense, which wasn't shown as a liability on Sunday playing against Glennon and Minshew, but it has over the course of the season. If they indeed are starting to heat up, then they very well may be peaking at the right time, and nor does anyone, want to step in front of Derrick Henry to try and tackle that freight train of a human being. Heading to the NFC to discuss the Saints and the outlook for the rest of their season. On Sunday, they lost to the Eagles 24-21 in what was also rookie quarterback Jalen Hurts' first career start. There can be a few ways to look at this if you're a Saints fan, and we'll go with the positive outlook first. There's 3 regular season games left, which are against the Chiefs, Vikings, and at the Panthers. Now, playing against the Chiefs will of course be a tough game to win, even if they had Drew Brees, but they will win the other games. So we're looking at a worst case 12-4 team heading into the playoffs. The Bucs are 8-5, and there's no way the Saints drop 3 in a row right before the postseason starts. 3 in a row would be the Eagles yesterday, against the Chiefs next week, and on Christmas against the Vikings, to be clear. There's no way that happens. They have a 2-game lead over the Bucs for the NFC South and have the tiebreaker, so they are not in danger of losing the division. Now, looking at it from a negative standpoint, the Packers are 10-3 as well and hold the tiebreaker over them. Their final 3 games are home against the Panthers, home against the Titans, and at the Bears. Their schedule is undoubtedly easier than the Saints, and while they could still drop one, which we would assume it's against the Titans at this point if they drop one, they're not going to drop 2. So for a team that would love a bye week to get healthy, dropping a seemingly easy win against the Eagles could prove to be a huge blow to their chances of winning a Super Bowl. Every team would love to play 2 games instead of 3 to get to the big dance, and with this loss to the Eagles, it could very well cost them the number 1 seed and a first round bye. Next, we head to the NFC East to discuss this division. So first, congratulations to the Eagles on a win over a 10-2 team, but I think it's a little too late for this team to seriously make a run. The Cowboys are 4-9, and it would take some serious help for them to make a run, so we're really not going to include them either. The Giants got beat by nearly 20 points on Sunday, held the ball for just over 22 minutes, and Daniel Jones and Colt McCoy were sacked a combined 8 times. Cardinals linebacker Hassan Reddick had an absurd 5 sacks and 3 forced fumbles, and to say it was a career game would really be an insult to the word understatement. But with the Giants getting beat Sunday, and pretty bad at that, and with the football team playing pretty good, they are the favorite to win the NFC East at this point in time. They improved to 6-7, and Chase Young had hopefully his first of many defensive touchdowns yesterday, and Washington is now a full game ahead of the Giants. They are in a 4-game win streak, and their final 3 games are home against the Seahawks, home against the Panthers, and at the Eagles to close the 2020 season. A month ago, when looking at this game between the Seahawks and the football team, everyone would have said Washington is 2-7, the Seahawks have an MVP caliber quarterback, and this won't be close, and the Seahawks, it was really a game where you circle on your calendar as a win. However, in a what have you done for me lately league, things have certainly changed within the past 28 days, and the football team firmly has the Seahawks' attention heading into Week 15. Now, I'm not saying Washington will shut Russ down and they'll win 31-7 and show him who's boss or anything like that, but it'd be crazy to say this is now an easy win for Seattle. Now, what I don't want to do is overreact and say Washington is a hardened team and they're going to the NFC Championship game or anything like that, but if they simply don't make mistakes, such as critical turning the ball over mistakes and force teams to beat their defense, and with the defensive line they have, then they will 100% be a tough out for anybody. This very well could be a team peaking at the right time, and who knows what they'll do if Alex Smith is their starter moving forward. They knocked off the 11-0 Steelers and are on a 4-game win streak. This would require them going into Lambeau or New Orleans to win, which I'm going to be honest, I don't care how hot they are, I don't see them doing that, but it's definitely not out of the equation for them to go in there and cause those teams some serious grief. Now we discuss the Sunday night game between the Steelers and Bills. So first things first, the Steelers are unraveling, and it's showing. They're starting to show, and then they're showing, and this is 100% showing. They have 0 run game, and while Ben Roethlisberger is an above-average quarterback in his own rights and a future Hall of Famer, he's not elite enough to win games where he throws 65 times and they run the ball less than 10 times. He's not, and no run game showed last night. Now, credit to the Steelers' defense for hanging with the Bills' offense for the first half, but what really killed this game was the pick 6 towards the end of the first half. After that, the Steelers were lethargic and just were not the same team, and the pick 6 really took the wind out of their sails. With Kansas City winning yesterday and advancing to 12-1, and with the Steelers' final 3 games being against the Bengals, Colts, and Browns, mainly the Colts and Browns, I don't see any way they get the number 1 seed back. A week certainly changes things, and they are in a much different situation now than they were 7 days ago. They had to take a week 4 bye early in the year due to the Titans' COVID situation, and because of that bye week and them getting the number 1 seed would mean much more to them than really the Chiefs or any other team. But at this point, they won't be able to get the number 1 seed and would have to win 3 straight games to get to the Super Bowl, with almost being guaranteed one of them in Kansas City. And due to that, the Steelers are officially done. I'm putting the done cap on them. Credit to the Bills for beating them and Stephon Diggs for putting on a clinic. Aside from a DeAndre Hopkins Hail Mary, they have won every game in their past 7 and could very well be heating up at the right time. Right now, they, along with Kansas City, are my 2 picks to go to the AFC Championship game. Buffalo is peaking now, and I expect that to continue into the playoffs, and what a championship game it will be between the Bills and Chiefs. Now that's going to wrap up the majority of today's video. I'm going to rant for the final few minutes. By the way, I highly recommend sticking around for that, but shout out Jalen Hurts' first career win. The Raiders are done. The Chargers-Falcons game was way too normal for those team standards. Good for Mitch Trubisky to win and play good against Deshaun yesterday. And lastly, credit Drew Lock for a huge game. Now for the rant of the Bucs-Vikings game, because this is going to be a doozy. Now I'm going to start by saying I don't like publicly calling people out, but the refs yesterday in Tampa were horrendous. Yes, Dan Bailey missed 4 total kicks, I get that, cool, whatever, he'll be cut anyway. But there were countless times where the Bucs were getting away with things that wasn't correct, or the Vikings were getting called for things that simply didn't happen. So I'm being open and honest here when I say this. I can't show video footage due to the NFL flagging for copywriting, but I can show screenshots. So first we have Kirk Cousins getting a hand to the face by Jason Pierre-Paul. There was a flag on this play, but was it on JPP for a clear roughing the passer and what should have been a first down for the Vikings late in the 4th quarter? You would think, right? No, it was holding on number 76 on the Vikings, which is comical in itself because there is no number 76 on the Vikings roster. This started in the first quarter when Chad Beebe was tackled after a punt return. He started to stand up and was immediately tackled, and not surprisingly, there was no call. Of course, there was a penalty on linebacker Todd Davis on a Hail Mary, and I would ask you, the viewer, this. Think about the last time you saw a penalty on a Hail Mary. Kevin Seifert of ESPN tweeted, "It was the first DPI call, defensive pass interference, in the last 20 years, meaning the first time this century that started in the last 5 seconds of a half and was 30 plus yards from the end zone, meaning those calls don't happen." Before they attempted the Hail Mary though, they had the longest second in the history of seconds, with the game clock being held at 1 so Tom could get a quick spike in. This game was, and I don't say this lightly, the worst officiated game I've ever seen. And if all of this isn't enough, Devin White wrestles CJ Ham out of bounds, and the whistles had blown. Pretty clear to everybody, the play is over. So what does Devin White do while he's still on the ground? Twists CJ Ham's knee, which is the ultimate cherry on top for how bad this game was. There is no place for that to begin with, and this game was absolutely awful. The Vikings 100% deserved to win, and although I have openly said Mike Zimmer needs to be fired, I will stand behind him when he deserves credit, and for this game, he definitely deserves credit. His team went in and outplayed the Bucs and lost due to a kicker who missed 4 total kicks and refs who had to have been paid from somewhere. Roger Goodell was also at the game, which makes you wonder. Troy Aikman, who was announcing, even said at a point that the officiating was terrible and he didn't agree with these calls. Something needs to be done about officiating, and the NFL needs to seriously start fining officials at minimum for blatant BS like this. The NFL always says, "Oh, we care about player safety," yet our quarterback was hit in the face with less than 5 minutes to play and there was no flag. Our starting Pro Bowl fullback, who low-key is one of the best players on the team, knee was openly twisted in front of a ref and there was no flag. If the refs start to receive fines the way players do, then it will improve because there won't be as egregious calls as there were in this game. If you can watch the minute-long clip I have on my Twitter feed, I highly recommend watching because it was horrendous. Now, to be clear, if the Vikings lose, whatever, it happens, but the refs were absolutely awful in the game yesterday. And now that we're at the end of the rant, I do want to say the refs don't control Dan Bailey missing. I get that Dan was garbage, and I understand that, but to not call simple things that should always be called is inexcusable. Now, if you're still listening, I hope you enjoyed the rant. Please like the video, let me know what you think in the comments. Have a great day, love you guys, deuces, peace.